All right, what's going on, guys? Kevin here from thesportsgeek.com, and in this video, I'm going to do some MLB picks for July 26th. We got a pretty good 14-game slate for the 7 p.m. start time. I've got a couple big contests on DraftKings. I'll be putting in two lineups into the big contest for the night. I think there's 2,500 entries at $333 a piece, so that's a big prize pool. I'll just be doing two lineups for that, so hopefully maybe cash a big prize. We'll see. I'm going to make this really quick. I've already looked at a lot of the stuff today, so we're quickly going to go over the Vegas lines and the lineups and that kind of stuff, and then I'll just go over my thoughts for tonight before I start looking into building my lineups. So looking at the Vegas dashboard here, a couple things that interest me. The Rockies have moved up to an implied team total of 4, up almost half a run. Still not a high team total, but seeing it move up definitely interests me. They got reverse line movement, as you can see by this green check mark. So maybe take a look at maybe a couple of the Colorado Rocky players that might be cheaper tonight. We'll take a look at that. The Baltimore Orioles, again, have a high team total. I took them last night. I stacked them, and that didn't really work out for me. The Blue Jays have a high team total again. They could be a good play again here with 5.9 implied team total. The Cubbies at 5.2. The White Sox have dropped from 4.3 to 3.8. So maybe that might be a team you want to avoid. Same with the Marlins. They've gone from 4.5 to 4 runs. The Red Sox are going to be the chalky team of the night against Pelfrey and the Tigers. They've moved up 0.1 up to 6.6 as their implied team total. So we've got a total of 11 in that game. The Red Sox are implied to score around 6.5 runs. They might be someone to watch. Oakland and Texas, they put up a lot of runs last night, and they both have pretty high team totals here tonight. Houston's up at 4.7. We got Arizona 4.6, Milwaukee 4.9. Twins are up at 5.5, almost 5.5, 5.4. So that might be something to watch. They've moved up a little bit as well. So I would keep my eye on that. San Francisco at 4.5 might be something to watch. So that's pretty much it for the higher implied team totals. Let's take a look here. We're still waiting on some lineups. Right now it's 4:50 p.m. Eastern. So we're waiting on a couple later lineups, but it looks like all the early lineups are confirmed. There's a couple teams here. Okay, it looks like Oakland was just confirmed. That's good. That was a team I was looking at. Where are they? Okay, so that's good to see. So I can start building my lineups probably within the next hour. I like to try to build mine around 6 p.m. Eastern. So let's take a look at the pitchers here in the Sports Geek model. Number 1 is Danny Salazar. I'll go over the 5 pitchers that I'm kind of keen in on. I'm not for sure going to be taking these 5 pitchers throughout my 2 lineups, but they're the guys that I want to get in my 2 lineups. So starting off, Danny Salazar is number 1. He's the top-rated pitcher by quite a bit tonight at 73.44 on my Sports Geek model. He's 9,500, so not a bad price for him considering he was up to 13,000 not too long ago. And besides the one bad start and an average start, maybe he put up 23 and 32 DraftKings points in 2 of his last 4 games. So he definitely has the upside there. We can see a couple other games in the 30s, 33 here, 36. So Danny Salazar is definitely someone I'll look at. Bud Norris, again, another pitcher who is rating high on the Sports Geek model that I'll be taking a look at. He's got a 67 rating, 6,300. So we're getting a nice discount on Bud Norris. He did pitch an inning and a bit of relief the other night, but he's back to starting. And if you look at his last 3 starts, nothing spectacular, 10, 12, and 10 DraftKings points. But he averaged over a strikeout an inning. And if he can limit the earned runs against, he could be a good DraftKings scorer tonight for pitching at 6,300 in LA against Tampa Bay, who's not going to have the DH. So that might be a good play there at 6,300 for a cheap pitcher. Liriano is another one of the 5 that I wanted to mention. He's the 3rd highest ranking on the Sports Geek model for a pitcher. He's 8,300, so not a bad price on him. He's had a really tough, rough season, but he is coming off a 13 strikeout performance against the Brewers. So I wonder if he got his stuff back after the All-Star break a little bit maybe. It'll be interesting to see if he just goes back to giving up a ton of hits and a ton of runs, or if he has another big performance like he did on the 21st of July. So he'll be facing Seattle. So he's definitely a guy with high upside, but definitely risky. So it's kind of one of those things you got to choose if you're going to take the risk on Liriano. Moving down, another pick I like who is a little expensive tonight, but that might be good for GPPs is Stephen Wright. Again, they're playing in a game with a high team total, but it's Boston who's expected to score a lot of those runs. Wright's coming off a couple average starts, 14 and 16 DraftKings points, and then 35 DraftKings points in his last start. So he's a guy who with high upside. He's expensive. I think he's the second most expensive on the night. So he'll probably be fairly low owned. I'd say maybe around 10%. And definitely someone I'll be looking at. And then the last pitcher of the 5 that I wanted to mention in this video, Marcus Stroman. Another Toronto pitcher. Last night we went with Sanchez. That worked out for us. Stroman's another guy who can go deep into ball games, can get strikeouts, maybe not as high as Sanchez in strikeouts, but he definitely goes deep into ball games. And if he's on, he's usually really on. You can see over his last 4 starts, he's been doing pretty well, except for that one start against Oakland. Put up 20 or more DraftKings points in the other 3 starts. So Stroman's definitely a guy I'll be looking to target. And just to go over that again for those of you who are just joining the feed now, it was Stroman, Wright, Liriano, Norris, and Salazar were the 5 pitchers that I like tonight. And then depending on how my lineup building goes, I might have to go with someone like Archer at 87, Gio Gonzalez at 65. Those would be the other 2 guys I'd be looking at as well. And then for pitchers, let's take a look at for batters, let's take a look at the stacks. Confirmed and projected, we'll go with 5-man stack. So it's looking like Baltimore is another good option tonight. Again, they're expected to score around 5.5 runs. That's their implied team total. So there's a couple different stacks up top here with Baltimore. I guess they've got high ratings, probably because of the discount you're getting. To stack 5 guys, it's only 18.9K. So that might be a good option there, is going back with Baltimore. It's tough because I was on them last night and they didn't do much for me, but a lot of people were on them as well, so they might be thinking the same thing. So Baltimore might have lower ownership tonight. Toronto, another good stack with the Jays. The Cubs again tonight. Where's Boston at? Yeah, so Boston isn't actually rated too high, probably just because they're so expensive. If you see Boston's number 1 5-man stack for my model, it's going to cost you 26.1K. So that's going to be tough to do. I think I might avoid a Boston stack tonight. I might throw in a couple players from Boston, but I don't think I'll be doing the Boston stack just because I think they'll be pretty highly owned altogether. The 1 to 5 hitters are 1 to 4 and Bradley, something like that. They'll be pretty highly owned. So I'll probably avoid a stack of Boston, although I will probably throw in at least 1 or 2 players in both of my lineups that I'm putting in tonight. So as far as teams that I like to stack, I like Oakland. 1 to 5 might be a good one. I like Toronto. There's lots of different stacks you can do with Toronto. I like the Cubbies. Colorado would be a GPP stack. As we saw, their implied team totals moved up about half run. So Colorado might be an interesting one for GPPs, but I doubt I'll be stacking them in my 2 entries. And then Baltimore, you're getting a pretty good price on the Baltimore hitters, and they've got a good matchup. So that would be another stack that I like tonight. So quickly just go over some of these stacks before I log off here. Again, we were looking at Baltimore, Toronto, Chicago Cubs. I'm going to avoid the Boston stack, but they would be good to throw in your cash games and a couple players maybe in your GPP lineups. The stack's going to be a little too popular for my liking. Minnesota might be someone to look at. Arizona might be a team to look at. Oakland. So those are pretty much the stacks I'm looking at, and then just building my lineups from some of those stacks. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat. I'll be on for another 30 seconds or something here. So JZ2 Vader says Rangers seem to be good too. Yeah, Rangers and Oakland. It's got a high total in that game. So either Oakland or Texas could be a good play again tonight, or maybe just game stacking that whole game. A-Camp Triple X says top rated batter tonight. As far as my Sports Geek model goes, it is Chris Davis, and I do like the play for GPPs just because he's been struggling so much lately. If you look at his game log here, he's been struggling quite a bit as of late. He's in a huge 0 for slump. But the model really likes him. He's got tons of power versus righties. He's at home. He's hitting fourth. They've got a high team total, so that might be a perfect GPP play. I think I'll definitely have Chris Davis just because he's rated number one. I'll definitely have him in one of my two lineups, I think. So we'll see how that goes, but I really want to get him in there just because he's an ultimate GPP play. He should be pretty low owned. He's only 3,600. Hopefully he can break that 0-4 slump tonight. Evan says Twins. Yeah, like I said, the Twins will be someone to look at. I haven't looked too hard into them, but their implied team total is 5.4, and it's gone up 0.2 runs. So definitely a team that I would be interested in looking at. If I scroll down here, I'll try to find the top-rated Twin stack. I can't really find a top-rated Twin stack, but if you go through the Fantasy Labs model and pick out a couple players, that might be the best way to do it for the Twins, or you could just stack a 1 to 5, something like that. What about for pitching? I already went over pitching, so make sure you check out the video once it's posted after this live stream. But again, my 5 pitchers that I liked the most were Stroman, Norris, Salazar, Liriano, and Wright. Jeffrey says Baltimore, Toronto stack for GPP or too high owned. I think ownership will be spread out. I think Boston will be the highest. So Baltimore and Toronto shouldn't be too high. You're probably going to get about 20% ownership on those guys. So I wouldn't mind that at all. All right, guys, I'm signing off here. Got to make some dinner and then make my lineup. So good luck this tonight, and hopefully you guys make some money with your contests. And hopefully I'll be back tomorrow. See you guys.